Greetings to all of you. Good evening from my country, where it is almost 10 minutes past 9 p.m. or shortly after 9 o'clock in the evening of Tuesday, the 6th of July of the current Gregorian year 2021. In reference to my foregoing telecasting, on July the 4th of this year, which means, of course, 2 days or about 48 hours ago, I crave leave to extend my heartfelt thanks to all those who have been speaking out against various types of wrong and perils, including the dangers confronted by our world due to the global warming. My heartfelt gratitude goes inter alia to His Majesty, the King of the Netherlands, who spoke out against the danger while visiting the Federal Republic of Germany. I also crave leave to thank inter alia His Britannic Highness, the Duke of Cambridge, for his benevolent efforts, Sir David Attenborough, and the young Swedish lady, if I am not wrong, her name is pronounced something like Greta Thunberg. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing her name, as I have no knowledge of Swedish as far as practicalities are concerned. But my most heartfelt thanks goes today to the honorable benches gracing the court or Amtsgericht, I beg your pardon, the Landesgericht at Münster in Germany, in the Federal Republic of Germany, in the city of Münster, the Landesgericht. As this honorable court was pleased to sentence several offenders who committed severely wrongful crimes against children and youths. One of the offenders, to my utter shock and despair, was the stepfather of the victim. I'm even dismayed to learn that the mother, the biological mother of the victim, also supported the stepfather while such an act or such acts were being committed by the stepfather and his vicious companions, who, while abusing the child or abusing the children in plural, also photographed and videoed, or I should say, shot videos and posted such materials via the dark net for the unpardonable pleasures of sadists who enjoy such vicious acts of others. The news came to me shortly after I had heard a program, or I was still hearing a program on the Deutschlandfunk about a distressed mother expressing her despair about her own daughters, about her 12-year-old daughters being violated by the stepfather. What a strange and pathetic irony, I asked myself. I'm not father of any child of my own, as far as the science of biology is concerned. Yet I cannot even imagine such an act being carried out by anyone against any of my beloved pets, staying in the residence of my current house, at my current residence. With tears in my eyes, I tried to think the agonies the mother and the daughter underwent for such a long time. With shock and bitterness in my heart, I endeavored to contemplate the agonies of the son abused by the stepfather and his the stepfather's vicious companions. How agonized the child must have been to see that his own mother assisting such grave, shameful offense committed against that child victim and other children. I'm grateful to the judiciary of Munster, which boldly pronounced such judgment, even sentencing the stepfather, if I'm not wrong, to 14 years of imprisonment. But alas, there are too many victims who have remained without any redress, even though they suffered similar agonies, moment upon moment, hour upon hours, day upon day, perhaps years upon years. If I'm not wrong, not long ago, and perhaps even today, certain crimes, like murder, is never time barred in being prosecuted, because in the view of the very outstanding and learned jurists, the crime of murder is a continuous offense and continues throughout the age of the offender, the murderer. I begin to query, why will it be different? In the case of a child's being victimized, the child is agonized maybe at that moment, continues to be agonized for many days physically. But the mental agony of that child continues, even when he grows up, when the child grows up, he or she grows up to become a grown-up man or a woman. He or she ought to be permitted to prosecute the offender without the offenses being time-barred. If piracy in the high sea can be constituted or considered to be the offense against all the nations. And anybody or any fleet which catches such or arrests such pirates can condemn those pirates to death. Why will it be different in the case of those victims whose lives bear the brand mark of their agonies as long as they live? The world community ought to consider the sufferings of those victims. They ought to consider to impose harsher penalties upon the offenders. The world communities must act, even now at this very moment. It is already too late for too many victims. But such omission in the past cannot and therefore does not justify such acts being committed at this very moment. Neither can such omissions can justify future acts upon the victims. I therefore most earnestly and with all due respect call upon the world communities to act together. If piracy can constitute an offense or offenses against the world communities, child abuse should do the same. If a child is not redressed properly in its own country, it should become the duty of the other nations to ensure that the offenders are punished, redressing the very child victim. I'm against death penalty, but I believe much harsher penalty ought to be imposed upon offenders who victimize children, exposing them to immorality. As I already mentioned once before, if not more than once, film industries ought to be brought under control. It is very easy to access to various types of sites which encourage and motivate many others to commit various types of crimes. Even by watching videos online, videos shot while children are being abused, youths are being abused, even women and men are being abused against their voluntary will or beyond their understanding. I thank all of you, including my beloved, dear and respected friends, and all those who consider themselves worthy of their human births, even the global citizens of the world, to come forward and to act in protection of children and in ensuring that the victims are properly redressed against the offenders, even the victims' assailants. Thank you once again, and bid you good night from my country. Thank you.